it's Abbie Unger here, the owner of Flight Attendant Career Connection and the author of the book Looking Skyward, Turn Your Flight Attendant Dreams into Reality. I am here with the long-awaited part 2 of how to create the ultimate flight attendant resume, 2-part video series. So, like I just said twice, this is part 2. If you haven't watched part 1, you can go back and watch part 1. It's on YouTube, and because I'm going to be starting kind of from where that one ends. So in the last one, we talked about what to include, what not to include. We talked about the order that your resume information should be in, which is objective, experience, then your education. So we just talked about some things that need to be in it and some things that don't need to be in it. In this video, I'm going to talk about keywords and I'm going to talk about formatting. Now, let's start with formatting. As far as formatting goes, I encourage you to not use a pre-formatted template that you can get at Word or that you can buy online or that you can download from a program like Canva or something like that, because you never really know how it's going to translate, and sometimes it gets stuck and sometimes it's hard and things get off, and I just feel like starting with a template is not as easy as just starting with a blank Word document, because then you have total control. So I want you to start with a blank Word document, or you can use Pages if you're on a Mac, but I just want you to start with a blank, no template document. And at the top, you're going to center your name, your address, your phone number, and your email address. And we talked about email addresses in the last video. So that's going to be centered at the top. Then you're going to have your objective. Here's how I do it. Now, this is a little bit of personal preference, but I feel like it works, so I would encourage you to do it this way. But there's not a right or wrong as far as the formatting goes and the fonts go and things like that. I would encourage you to use a very easy to read professional font, so probably not going to be doing some kind of like stuff that looks like handwriting or something like that. You want to go very professional and traditional with your font so that it's easy for people to read. You're going to start with your objective. I put the objective, I left justify the objective, and I underline the word objective, and then I type out the objective underneath. So we talked about the objective in the last video. That's 3 to 5 sentences talking about your career goals, a little bit of your experience, and why you would be a good fit for the flight attendant position. After that, you're going to type the word experience, left justify it again, and then underline that word. Underneath your experience is where you're going to list all of your jobs in the last 10 years. For the most part, now there's some exceptions when I say all and when I say 10 years, but that's a pretty standard amount of time because that's what your background check covers. And also it is a way for you to kind of highlight pretty much all of your experience that is recent. The background check that they're going to do, like I just said, is a 10-year background check. So if you can go ahead and put that information in your resume, then you are already ahead of the game because you don't have to try to find it. So even if you worked a small part-time job or you were somewhere temporarily, it's going to show up in your background check. So you're going to need to put it on your application, and it's easier just to go ahead and put it on your resume so that you have the information. This is the information that you want to include with each job listing. I'm going to use an example. Let's say I worked at the Gap. I'm going to put the Gap down, or the Gap Incorporated, or whatever their company name is. And then I'm also going to say what I did for that company. And that would probably be a sales associate. I'm also going to want to include the dates that I was there. I was there from May 1999 until June of 2013. I'm going to put that on the resume, and then I'm also going to put the location. I don't need their address, but the city and state is helpful. And the way I do this heading for each one is 2 lines. The Gap is going to be left justified, and then all the way to the right is going to be the dates that I worked. So it'll say the Gap, and then all the way over at the end of the page, it'll say those dates from 1999 to June 2013, or whatever date it was that I just made up. And then underneath it on the second line, we're going to put sales associate, left justified, and then all the way over to the right, you are going to put the location. So let's say Boston, Massachusetts. okay? You want to stay consistent with two things when this happens. If you type out the name of the state, you need to do that all the way down. So you could do Boston, MA, or you could do Boston, Massachusetts. But if you type out Massachusetts, then you need to type out the state for everyone, everywhere on your resume. And also with the date, you could write June, comma, 1999, or you wouldn't do a comma with that. June 1999 hyphen June 2012, or you could do 6/99 dash 6/13. So, but you want to be consistent. So basically I'm saying however you decide to do the state and to do the dates is fine, but just make sure it's consistent and then it matches all the way down, okay? Now underneath the gap, you are going to list your job experience duties at the gap. You're going to use bullet points and you're going to use more of a snapshot, not a sentence or a paragraph. So my first bullet point is probably going to say, greet customers and assist them as needed while providing excellent customer service. Do not put a period at the end of your bullet point. It's not a sentence. Next bullet point will say, follow all company policies and procedures. Next bullet point, work as a member of a team to increase customer satisfaction. Next bullet point, ensure that sales floor is always free of debris to increase safety. Next bullet point, and I'm sort of making these up off the top of my head. So, but you're going to keep going down through all of the things that you did that would be relevant for you to be a flight attendant. So restocking, if you did the scheduling, if they ever partnered you with a new sales associate so that you could train her, all of that kind of information would be under your experience. And you're going to repeat that for every job that you had for about the last 10 years. Then you're going to get to your education, goes at the bottom. Again, type out the word education, left justify it, put a underline underneath the word, and then you're going to do a similar format to the job headings. So the school, the dates. If you graduated from high school more than 10 years ago, don't worry about putting the date on there. I know sometimes as we get older, you feel uncomfortable kind of putting your high school graduation date on there because then they can see your age and stuff like that. It's really not a big deal, but I totally understand kind of the feelings behind it. So don't worry about it. If you graduated more than 10 years ago, you don't need to have the date, but you do need to have the name of your school. You do need to have that you graduated, and you do need to have the city and state that it was in. Any college needs to go on there. If you took one semester at community college, good. Put it on your resume. If you did any kind of special training, so first aid, CPR training just for your own personal gratification. If you went to real estate school, if you are certified in some sort of insurance, cosmetology certifications, any kind of special training, certifications, which means I sat in a classroom, I learned stuff as an adult, and I accomplished it, and I passed, needs to go on there because you're getting ready to do that as a flight attendant. As an adult, you're going to sit in a classroom, you're going to learn a new trade, and you are going to pass training. So the fact that you've done it in the past, it just speaks to the fact that you know how to study, and it's a little bit of a bump up for you. So that's why I want you to include it, even though your real estate certification isn't really relevant to becoming a flight attendant. Your classroom, the fact that you overcame that and that you were successful in a classroom environment is. So that brings me to the end of, oh, no it doesn't, because we haven't talked about keywords. Okay, keywords. I get asked this question a ton. Keywords are words that the computer is looking for. When you upload your resume and the computer scans through, it is looking for special words that say, oh, this person's a candidate. I'm going to send this on to a human so that the human can look at it and make sure that I'm right. Sometimes resumes get kicked out that the people are totally qualified, but they don't have the right keywords in their resume. So you can Google keywords. You can also, this is where I get the keywords though, look at a flight attendant job listing and the words that stand out to you that are requirements and also responsibilities, those are going to be keywords. So for example, you want to make sure your resume uses words like safety, security, policy, procedure, customer service, teamwork, problem solving, multitasking, flexible, dependable. all the things that sort of sum up what the airline is looking for in their flight attendant. These are keywords that you want reflected in your resume. So again, I hope that this video was helpful. These are all of my best tips to you. At Flight Attendant Career Connection, we do also offer some resume services. If you're looking for a little bit more personalized advice, we do offer resume reviews. That's when I look at your completed resume and I give you some feedback. And then we also do rewrites, which means I rewrite it for you and it's ready to go off to the airline. So I'm excited for you. I'm excited for your journey. Resume is really the first step right before applying. So go ahead, get your resume written. If you have any questions, let me know. I'd love to connect with you more. Good luck and keep looking skyward.